Are you thinking about moving to Salt Lake City, Utah? Well, before you make that big move, you'll want to watch this video because I'm going to be discussing 15 potential negatives of living in Salt Lake City, Utah that you need to consider before packing your bags to make that move here. And I'm getting started right now. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Greg Spackman, and I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. So if you want to learn everything about what it's like to live here, eat here, sleep here, play here, and actually live in the Salt Lake City area, then click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I do new videos. I've been getting a ton of people that are just like you that are reaching out to me about making that move here to the Salt Lake City area, and I absolutely love it. So if that's you, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, heck, send the Pony Express. I've got your back if you're moving here to the Salt Lake City area. So I put together a list of 15 negative things that you want to consider when making that move here to Salt Lake City, Utah. Number one on that list is Sundays. So why do I mention Sundays? Well, we relocated here about 2 years ago to the Salt Lake City area. We actually live in a city called Harriman, which is south of Salt Lake City, about 25-30 minutes. But you're going to find out that what Sundays are all about. So half of the population here roughly goes to church on Sunday. On my list, number one is Sundays. So why are Sundays important? Well, about half of the people are in church on Sunday. I mean, even more people go to church on Sunday, but half of the population is very like of the LDS faith, Mormon faith. So they are not able to do certain things on Sunday that other people do, like you can't go out to eat at a restaurant, you're not supposed to go shopping, that sort of thing. So what you're going to find is that certain places are closed on Sundays that may typically be open in where you are. But for example, if where you're living, you probably can buy a car on Sunday. So in Utah, you're not able to purchase a car on Sundays. So all the car lots are closed and you're just not able to buy. So we've driven through lots and stuff to look at cars on Sunday, which is nice because then you're not hounded by the sales reps, but they are closed on Sunday, so you're going to have to make other accommodations. What we have also found is that some of the grocery stores, we will shop a lot at a place called Walmart Grocer for our groceries, and they will be out of a lot of things on Sunday if we shopped on Sunday. So we have found just to go a different day of the week to shop for groceries, after 7 or 8 o'clock at night on a Wednesday or Thursday when they have everything restocked, seems to be the best night or best time for you to go shopping for that. There are numerous other businesses that are closed on Sundays. Don't worry, you're still going to be able to buy the normal things that you need on Sunday, just certain things are not available on Sundays. The number two negative thing about living in Salt Lake City, Utah is the housing affordability, and it is just not what it used to be. Housing here used to be really, really affordable. There were these super, super nice homes that we looked at when we relocated here in Riverton that were purchased for like $350,000, $400,000, and now they sell for $900,000, just as an example. But you're going to see that all over where prices have gone up $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 since 2020. But it's just not what the affordability factor was. The average listing price currently here in Salt Lake City, you're looking at an average listing price of about $620,000 for a home. Now, can you do less than that? Absolutely. Can you do more than that? Of course, you can always go higher than that. The average sold price right now is right around the $615,000 mark here in Salt Lake City. So you're looking like there's not a huge spread between the list price and sale price. And a lot of that is just due to the low inventory levels. Since we don't have a ton of homes for sale right now, that means that there just isn't a lot to choose from, and which keeps prices high. It typically takes about 32 days for a home to sell here on the market. However, if you are looking for a turnkey, really, really nice, fully updated, all of that, those are still selling really, really quickly. Some of them sell within the first day or two in certain cities. So it really depends on where you're looking, what size home you want, how many bedrooms, baths. Do you want a really nice basement? Do you want the basement to be finished? Do you want a yard? and then, of course, what cities you're picking from, since Salt Lake has a ton of cities around it, and all of them have their pluses and minuses. So that is definitely one of the reasons why you got to give me a call so that we can talk about which city you want to live in and why you want to live there and where you're going to be working or playing or just having fun. Do you want to be close to the mountains so you can get into the canyons for a hike after work? That sort of thing, because it doesn't get dark here till late at night, so you can definitely work till 5 or 6, come home, grab a quick bite, and then go hit a trail during the summertime, which is awesome. So that would be number 2 on the list, just the housing affordability factor. The number 3 negative potentially for you would be that Utah is a very heavy LDS Mormon town, and there are a billion churches of them all over the place. There are a number of temples that you're going to see, and this has not been any real issue for us since relocating here, and I don't think it will be for you, but it is something that you should be aware of. And if you tell your friends or family that you're moving to Utah, they're going to say, oh, did you become Mormon? So if you are, then that wouldn't be anything at all. But if you aren't, then you just need to know that that's the case here. And then I think the last stat I saw was something like 49%, and then around 30-ish% were active. So there's a lot of people that aren't Mormon that are here, and as more and more people move here, that number has changed. The number 4 thing that people bring up to me about living in Utah, that's that we're a high desert and we have a problem with water. Well, this year we got a tremendous amount of snow. All the reservoirs seem to get pretty much filled up, and so we really don't have a big water problem. From what I have researched online about water, a lot of our water gets used on agriculture here, and not necessarily by the amount of people. I thought it was less than 10% of our water usage is used by people. The other 90% is agriculture, and they have something called water shares and everything else. And they've been putting more and more water back into the Great Lake to try to raise the water level in it, which then also creates more snow on the mountains. So it's kind of like this cause and effect thing. It just, I don't know, it would make more sense to me that they would put a bunch more water into the Great Salt Lake so that way we get a lot more snow. But I'm sure that they have that all managed, and they do a really good job of how much water they let out of each of the reservoirs and into the rivers and all of that to let a certain amount of water flow all over the Utah. So they do a fabulous job of that that you should know about. The number 5 negative of living in Salt Lake City, Utah is the bad drivers. And this is something that I keep seeing over and over and over again, that we have really bad drivers. They don't know what a turn signal is, or lately they know what a turn signal is, but they just turn it on and then turn into your lane. So most people don't seem to use the turn signal, but just know that. They also drive really, really fast here. I don't know why, because you don't really have anywhere else to go unless you're trying to get out to go to a hike or do something in the outdoors. But people drive 100 miles an hour plus on the freeways all the time. They have carpool lanes here on the I-15, so that's super nice for you to get around. And you can buy a pass to use it with only one person in your car. Every now and then you'll see somebody in the carpool lane that only has one person. But just know that people here drive super fast and erratic. And then the last thing that they seem to really do here is run red lights. So make sure that you're really careful on the red lights and that you wait just that half a second or so when the light changes so that you don't end up in an accident for someone running the red light. The number 6 thing you need to know about living here in Utah is they use something called the grid system. And the grid system is how they do the mapping of all the street names. So the streets, a lot of them are not named, like a word or something else. They are named like 1000 east by 1000 south. And so that is coordinates, and they're based off of a temple. And so when you first move here, you're going to find that the grid system is pretty terrible and you don't like it because you're used to streets being named something. And after you've been here, I can tell you from personal experience, I've been here now 2 years, and the grid system makes a lot more sense now. It makes it super easy for when people are telling me where something is, because in the past, I would just ask, oh, it's near the Home Depot. Well, when I knew where the Home Depot was, then I knew where things were. Now they just tell me the coordinates, and I can pretty much, look at my look at my head and then figure out where that is. So you're going to find that you will really, really come to like the grid system once you've been here. Some people clients that I've helped have liked the grid system much quicker, came to figure it out, and it just worked for them. So it could be a personality thing where certain people are able to, just have it work easier for them. But so that's number 6. The number 7 negative thing about living in Salt Lake City would be the air quality. And while this year our air quality wasn't as bad as last year, we have some really poor air quality here in Utah. We have something called the inversion layer that happens November-ish through March. But we have poor air quality, so if you have asthma or other breathing conditions, you want to definitely talk to your doctor, check into that, do some research online, and make sure that you can handle it. That's part of why we have people come and visit, so they can, check in the air and all of that. And so that's number 7. The number 8 negative thing about living in Salt Lake City is that it's super dry here. Because we're in the high desert, it's really, really dry here. So you're going to need lotion, you're going to need chapstick, you're going to need sunscreen. And the last thing on the list is you're going to need to stay hydrated. And a lot of people don't realize that they need to drink as much water as they do, but you need a lot of water. So you're going to see lots of people with water bottles here, and they drink a lot of water, which is, good for you. You just end up needing a lot more water than you would where you're currently living potentially. So the flip side to the dryness is it's super awesome to be outside since it's not humid at all. When you're just chilling outside, especially when the temperature is below 80 degrees. So when it's in that 65 to 80 degree mark right in there, it is super awesome to be outside. And the summer nights are amazing once the sun goes down and it drops from being in the 90s into the low 70s, high 80s in that temperature range. You just can really relax, and it's super nice to be outside. And so if you've ever lived anywhere where it's dry, you'll know that that is super cool and something that you'll really enjoy. And that's why outdoor space here is really, really nice in Utah. The number 9 negative thing you're going to find is all of these cookie companies and soda companies. So unless you are a big cookie fan and a big soda fan, you're going to find all these little shops that sell cookies, like from Crumble. Their headquarters is here, but there are probably 6 to 8 different cookie companies. And then there's all these soda companies where you can go in and get your flavored soda. So you can get, coconut flavored Pepsi or whatever there. So just know that why that's a negative is just it doesn't do well for your waistline. It's not a bad thing that they're here, just not good for you because they're so accessible here in Utah. The number 10 thing on the list is something we didn't really know or research at all when we moved to Utah, and that's the liquor laws here in Utah are some of the strictest, or if not some of the strictest in the nation. DUI limit 0.05, which isn't a problem at all since you shouldn't be drinking while driving, so almost that should be 0. But they have weird liquor laws. So you can't buy alcohol on Sundays here in Utah, so you got to plan ahead. So if you're a big NFL fan and you want to watch the game and you forgot to buy a 6-pack of beer, you weren't going to be able to buy it on Sunday. You needed to have bought it on, Friday or Saturday. And if you wanted some of the hard alcohol or anything above 3% for beer, you have to go to the state-run liquor stores, and those seem to have higher prices than what you are used to paying where you're from. Just because it's a racket. They have it all to themselves. Nobody else can sell it, so they can, have it markup of whatever they really want on it. Not that it's super, super expensive, but a lot of people will drive to Nevada or Arizona or to buy alcohol and then bring it back with them because it saves some money that way. But just know we have weird alcohol rules. You also can't sit in the bar with your kids while they make mixed drinks. They have to do that, within 30 feet away from you. So certain places, certain bars, they can't even have children in. So if you go to a couple of the pubs that we go to where they serve burgers, I can't bring my kids there to eat because heaven forbid they see alcohol. The number 11 negative thing about living in Salt Lake City, Utah, and why you may not want to move here is all the fresh air. So heaven forbid that you love fresh air, but just know that we have fresh air up in the mountains and in the valleys. Like I already touched on, we have some poor air qualities, and you just need to make sure that you're aware of that. But If you want the fresh air, you're going to have to go into the mountains to get it, which, is a 30-minute, 45-minute, hour drive, depending upon which city you pick from, if you want to have really, really nice air. Number 12 negative thing is Utah is still a very conservative state, conservative social values due to the influence of the church, the LDS church. Utah is still a red state. It still leans really heavily in the conservative way. You don't need, for instance, a concealed carry permit to have a gun here in Utah. You just got to be 21. They have some other gun laws, so you could look those up. But just know that it's a conservative state still, and that may be a problem for you. But I've helped people buy from both sides of the aisle, and it really doesn't seem to be any sort of issue. It's not like they give people a problem because of who you voted for or which way you vote or that sort of thing. Everyone here is super nice and friendly. The number 13 negative thing is the lack of nightlife and bars here really in Utah itself. Other than in Salt Lake City downtown, there really isn't a lot of nightlife and bars, and since Utah is not really known as a state that loves alcohol, it just hasn't gotten that feeling. So there are bars and pubs that are in certain towns, but there aren't very many of them, so you don't have a lot of choices in that regard. Up in Salt Lake, you have there's much more to choose from, and that's what most of the clients that I've helped that have moved here, they'll just go up into Salt Lake and figure out whatever their favorite place to go to is, and then they go there. And so that's number 13. Number 14 on the list is that we don't have an ocean. So if you want the ocean, you want to be able to surf or hang out at the beach or watch the waves roll in, Salt Lake City is landlocked, and you don't really have that option. For us, when we moved from Nashville, we didn't have the beach there. It was an 8-hour drive down to Florida to go to the beach, or Alabama. Just know that you are going to be driving out to Oregon, Washington, California, pretty much to get to the beach, or you're going to be catching a flight. But it really hasn't been an issue for us because we lived in Nashville for so long before moving away from the beach. So we just are used to not really having the beach. But that's one of the complaints that I get from people that have been here for a little while that moved from California, for instance, and are used to being able to go to the beach. Or I think it's more that they're used to the fact that they actually could go to the beach, but they don't actually go to the beach. Number 15 negative thing on the list is the food scene here. So Utah is full of chain restaurants. Your Olive Garden, your Texas Roadhouse, your Chili's, that sort of thing. There just aren't a ton of smaller restaurants. Everything seems to be a chain here. They open up one and then they open up 6 or 7 more. So you just don't have the variety that you get in other areas. And whether you're used to your small mom and pops, there are small mom and pop shops. There just aren't as many as certain other cities that I've lived and visited. You just don't have that opportunity here. So if these 15 negative things didn't put you off to making that move here to Salt Lake City, please reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. We can talk all about the different cities in Utah and get you on your way to making that move here. Until next time, be rad.